only difference between clauses and phrases is that clauses will have verb in them, phrases will not have verbs in them. If we leave now, we can be home by 11 p.m. So if is the conjunction. You can use a conjunction in the middle. You can use a conjunction in the beginning of the sentence also. Coordinating conjunctions are those which join two simple sentences or two independent clauses. Compound sentence can be broken into two different sentences, but complex sentence, it is very difficult for you to break it into two different sentences. Hello everyone, I am Dr. Shalini, Professor of English, Vidhyaashram First Grade College, the Temple of Excellence, MYSURU. Today we are here to understand one of the language components prescribed by University of MYSURU for 2nd Sem BCom. We are here to understand linkers today. To begin with, just an overview of today's session. You will be introduced to what is a linker, then you will know the definition and also you will know the types of linkers that are there. So there might be a question, what are these linkers? We have not learnt it in our high school or PU or whatever, but yes, this is actually a very common one. You understand the other name given to it, you think yes, it is very easy. So we'll go to the introduction now. So I'll just introduce you to clauses and phrases before we move on to these linkers. So you ought to know what are clauses, you ought to know what are phrases. Fine. So let us begin with clauses. Hope you remember what are nouns, what are verbs and all. So we have clauses that are supposed to be understood here. Any sentence that contains a subject and a verb in it, it may give a complete meaning or may not give a complete meaning. So if at all a sentence contains a subject and a verb in it, it is called as a clause. Subject, very rarely it need not have to be there, but verb is very necessary when you come to a clause. So a clause can be a sentence. It may not give a complete meaning, so that time it becomes a different kind of clause. But yes, even if it gives meaning or does not give meaning, both the places verb has to be there, then only it will be called as a clause. So let me give you an example of a clause here. So suppose the basic example, if I can say, is like cat drinks milk. So here you can see there is a subject and there is a verb and it is giving complete meaning also. Fine. This is called as a clause. There are two different types of clauses for us to understand. One is independent clause. Under clauses, we have independent and dependent. Independent and dependent clause. So what is a dependent? What is an independent clause? So whenever you have a clause that gives you complete meaning, you know what is a clause now? It has a subject and a verb in it and it has to give a complete meaning. Suppose the clause gives you complete meaning, then it is called as an independent clause. This does not give complete meaning. Okay. It does not give you complete meaning, then it is called as a dependent clause. Sentence, in order to make a complete sense, it has to have an independent clause. It also has to have a dependent clause, but the dependent clause is actually optional. So you can see over here, this is an independent clause. This is an example of independent clause because it is giving complete meaning. Now let me give you an example of dependent as well as independent clause. I'll put both of them in one single sentence. A combination of independent and dependent clause, that is when both are combined together, that is called as a complex sentence. Complex sentence actually contains a dependent clause and a linker and then a dependent clause. Independent, linker, dependent clause. This is the structure of a complex sentence. So let me just give you an example of dependent as well as independent clause, that is in one sentence only. I cleared the exam. So this you can see it is an independent clause. Fine. How do you know it is independent clause? There is a subject, there is a verb in it. Fine. I am going to add a dependent clause to this which enhances the meaning of the sentence. Because I studied. So here, because I studied, this part is called as a dependent clause because you are adding something to it, and because I studied, this has a subject, this has a verb, but this whole thing does not give you complete meaning. Because I studied what? It sounds incomplete, right? So this becomes a dependent clause. But altogether, when you consider, this is a complex sentence. It's a combination of independent clause with the dependent clause. So this is a clause. These are the basic things you need to understand when you have to know this linkers. Now we come to phrases. Phrases and clauses both are group of words, but phrases will not have verbs in them. Clauses will have verbs in them. Phrases will not have verbs in them. So let me just give you an example. Something like in the park. So this is an example of a phrase. In the park, on the table. All these are the words that enhance the meaning of a sentence, but as such, independently, they don't have any meaning. I was dancing on the table. So, on the table is a phrase. Even if you remove that, there is a meaning for this sentence. I was dancing. Full stop. There is a meaning for that. You just add this on the table. It enhances the meaning of the sentence. So, this is called as a phrase. The only difference between clauses and phrases is that clauses will have verb in them. Phrases will not have verbs in them. Clauses may give complete meaning, may not give complete meaning at times, but phrases never will give complete meaning at all. Clauses will have subjects in them, but phrases will not have subject in them. Fine. This cannot be considered as object also because it starts with a preposition. It cannot be considered as an object. So these are the differences between clauses and phrases, and this is the basic detail you have to know when you're going to learn about linkers. Let us now move on to linkers. Linker, also called as a conjunction. I was very successful in keeping it as a surprise for you. So, conjunction is a joining word. It acts like a glue between two words. Fine. It joins two words or two phrases. Just now you understood what are phrases. Then two clauses. So, this way it can join anything. So, let me give you a few examples here. She is good at both cooking and dancing. If I am joining two sentences, she is good at cooking, she is good at dancing. So, these both I am going to join. These are the two sentences I am going to join and they come up. She is good at both cooking and dancing. If we leave now, we can be home by 11 p.m. So, if is the conjunction. You can use a conjunction in the middle. You can use a conjunction in the beginning of the sentence also. He couldn't be taken before a magistrate for punishment. Here you can see conjunction is broken. Here you can see only one conjunction in the beginning. Here you can see conjunction in the middle of the sentence. Then it can be in the beginning and in the middle. That is, you can break the conjunction and use it in the beginning as well as in the middle. Like neither her friends nor her relatives joined for the party. So neither nor, it is a set of conjunctions. The legendary dancer is also interested in folk music. So these are few example sentences which have linkers or conjunctions in them. So conjunctions, you have a basic idea what are conjunctions. Okay. So now we'll understand which are the different types of conjunctions or linkers that we are going to understand. So there are different types of conjunctions or linkers that we have to understand. One is coordinating conjunction, correlative conjunction, and the last one is the subordinating conjunction. So these are the different types of conjunctions that we are going to understand based on the role they play in the sentence. So let us see what are coordinating conjunctions first. So coordinating conjunctions are basically those which join the elements that are same, means similar, which have equal weightage. There will be two sentences which will have equal weightage. So, such sentences are joined by a coordinating conjunction. So, coordinating conjunction, these can be remembered very easily using an acronym. Acronym means a short form. Fine. So, what is that? You have very few coordinating conjunctions over here. You have only 7 coordinating conjunctions. That is for, that is F, and A, nor, N, then but, B, or, O, Y, it, and S. So what does the acronym come out to? Fan boys. Okay, it's easy for you to remember the coordinating conjunctions. These are the conjunctions which join two simple sentences. What are simple sentences now? That we have to understand. Simple sentences are only two independent clauses. Okay, simple sentences are also called as independent clauses. Now you know what are clauses, right? So independent clauses, you must be able to understand it easily. Coordinating conjunctions are those which join two simple sentences or two independent clauses. Fine. We have seen examples also, isn't it? So using these, we can join two simple sentences only, and for that you will be using only these conjunctions. Okay, so these come for only simple sentences. When you go to compound and complex, it is the different conjunction which we use. Suppose you are using these conjunctions, then that sentence will be resultant of two simple sentences only. So here I'll just give you an example. I went out, so I couldn't complete my work. So this is an example of two simple sentences joined together. I went out, I couldn't complete my work. So this is a resultant. Fine. Here you can omit I went out, so you can omit this subject also. You need not have to use this subject twice. If you use it only once, that is also fine. I went out, so couldn't complete my work. So this is an example of usage of coordinating conjunctions. Then we move on to correlative conjunctions. So what are correlative conjunctions? First thing you must note is that it is always used in pairs. These are always used in pairs, and these join two clauses or sentences. Two independent clause only it will be joining, but it is always used in pairs only, like neither nor, not only but also, either or, this way. So here you can see either you cook me lunch or I leave. Either or. Fine. No sooner he had gone to bed than the doorbell rang. Maria loves both ice cream and pizza. So this ice cream and pizza both are combined by using this both and. No sooner than. Then either or. Like this only you have neither nor also. Okay, neither, then nor. You break it into two different conjunctions, but they are always used in pairs. Fine. Then you also have not only but also. Not only but also. You should not use this but also, this one separately. You have to use it with not only. Like, ma'am, I'm telling him, but also he is doing the same thing. No, that is not the right way. You always have to use but over there. But when you're using two things which are true, then only you will use this not only but also. When you're combining such sentences which will have equal weightage, then you use that. For example, she is a dancer, she is an author. So you are combining these two. She is not only a dancer but also an author. So this way, when both the things are true, so such cases you use this correlative conjunctions. Correlative conjunctions are always used in pairs. Hope you remember that. Now we move on to subordinating conjunctions. So what are subordinating conjunctions? These join the dependent clause along with the independent clause. So this is an example for the conjunction that is used in complex sentence. Okay, so these are used in complex sentences, and this correlative conjunctions and coordinating conjunctions, what you saw, both of them are used in compound sentences. Compound sentence can be broken into two different sentences, but complex sentence, it is very difficult for you to break it into two different sentences. So here, let us see an example here. I will drink milk after having this chocolate. After is the subordinating conjunction that is used here. Just see here, you have a subject, you have a verb here, will drink. Okay, this will make sense. This is giving you complete meaning, isn't it? Now remove this conjunction. You can just see having this chocolate. So does this give you complete meaning? No, it has a verb in it. Having, it is a verb there. That is participle form of the verb there. And here you can see after having this chocolate, this is not giving you complete meaning. So this is a dependent clause. Fine. This is an independent clause. So subordinating conjunction is used for combining this independent clause with the dependent clause. Then you have another example here. He will come to my home after attending the meeting. So this is not giving you complete meaning. So this is a dependent clause, and here this part is giving you complete meaning. So this becomes an independent clause. Fine. So this is the structure of a complex sentence. Suppose you want to start the sentence with a conjunction only. Fine. If you want to start the sentence with a conjunction only, you can make changes here, but you can see over here, there is nowhere any punctuation that is given. Fine. There is only one punctuation, that is full stop in the end. So when you are using this conjunction in the beginning, especially when you are using the subordinating conjunction, if at all the sentence is starting with a subordinating conjunction, then make sure you put a comma after the dependent clause. So how do I do it? After the dependent clause, you have to put a comma, I said. So let me reframe this sentence. Let me restructure this sentence here. So I'll start it with a subordinating conjunction. After attending the meeting, so I'm starting it with a subordinating conjunction that was there here. After attending the meeting, so after the subordinating clause or the dependent clause, you should put a comma there, because you are starting the sentence with a subordinating conjunction. So you started with subordinating conjunction, you put the dependent clause, then you have to put a comma here. Fine. You started with an independent clause, no need of any comma in between. You started with a dependent clause, then you ought to put a comma there. Fine. So after this, you can continue the sentence. After attending the meeting, comma, he will, you need not have to begin with capital letter here. So you can begin with small letter, he will come home. Full stop. Fine, the sentence ends here. So I am putting the independent clause at the second position. I am putting the dependent clause in the first position. So when you are using the dependent clause first, then you need to put a comma there after the dependent clause. Fine. So these are the three different types of linkers or conjunctions that you had to understand. So these were few examples of that. Hope the session was very useful. Yes, it was very short, but it was very crisp, and there are all types of sentences and all types of conjunctions that you had to understand. So fine, please watch the lecture, then you start practicing what are conjunctions. We'll have few exercises when you come back to physical classes. So fine, let us meet again, children, with another more interesting language component session. So till then, keep learning. Thank you for your time. Take care. Bye-bye.